What's up, guys? That got the pencil here, and I will admit it. Midoriya is okay. Now, here's the thing. This isn't in light of any of the recent chapters. This isn't in light of any massive discussion I had with someone discussing Midoriya as a character. This is the culmination of multiple reflections, multiple comments and interactions and talks I've had with people about Midoriya as a character and why I personally don't like him. And I'll admit, there is one conversation I had with somebody. We were talking about main characters in general. Midoriya wasn't even the purpose of the conversation. We were talking about main characters that we liked. And my friend told me, I know why you don't like characters like Midoriya. And I asked him, what do you mean? And he said, you don't like that Midoriya is a true neutral character arc. And I was like, what in the world do you mean, bro? And he was talking about, you like Goku more than Midoriya, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you like Meliodas more than Midoriya, right? I'm like, yeah. You like X main character here more than Midoriya, right? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's all because something about those characters' fundamental nature shifts with time. And you don't like that Midoriya is locked in place. And I was like, now hold on. You mean to say that I have a bias against characters with neutral character arcs? I'm just like, there's no way. I couldn't. I love Goku. I love Meliodas. I love these characters that, for the most part, stay completely the same. And then I realized it. Midoriya's morals have not shifted. Midoriya's character has shifted slightly in a more positive direction. Midoriya is a true neutral, and I don't like the neutral where he stays at. That's the thing. And that's not a fault of Horikoshi. That's not a fault of any of the writing. That is a fault of me. I personally do not enjoy that type of character. Why? I still can't tell you. This reflection is to explain why Midoriya is okay from my point of view. So one of the main issues I have with Midoriya as a whole is how I feel like very little of what he does is earned and or is logical. Now, to be fair, logic in a fictional series about teenagers with superpowers probably isn't the first thing I should be discussing or worrying about. I'll admit that. I'll admit that with every single thing where I tackle the logic of a fictional series that isn't based on anything. There really is no logic, but in the confines of the world, it doesn't make sense to me on how Midoriya works and how he interacts with a lot of characters within the world. My biggest example that I always bring up is Midoriya versus Muscular, and then after that, Midoriya versus Shinso, then after that, Midoriya versus Todoroki. Every single time Midoriya does something that breaks narrative in my mind. So for Midoriya versus Muscular, it was obviously the justified adrenaline boost that he got to completely overpower Muscular. That's been justified as an adrenaline boost over and over and over again, so I've given up on that. Midoriya against Shinso, that's been re-justified as the one for all users helping out Midoriya somehow, even though All Might didn't know what that was. I'm okay with that. And the super breaking of the fingers, this using a super broken arm, that's never been justified to me in a logical sense. That is an issue I'll always have. But the reason I'm saying it's okay is because it's what Midoriya stands for. Midoriya is not supposed to make sense. All for one is not no, not all for one. One for all is not supposed to make sense. There's supposed to be two enigmas that operate in whatever mysterious ways that the plot demands, and it's for a reason. It's for the symbolical purpose of Midoriya being a symbol. To be fair, does that give the story and or Midoriya as a character full excuse to break rules on the fly? Not fully, but I can finally understand why people like Midoriya so much, why people praise Midoriya so much, why people think Midoriya is okay as a character, and why I've come to the conclusion that Midoriya is okay as a character. Because no matter what situation Midoriya throws himself into, he will find a way out. Will that way be logical? No. However, for the context of what this series is written for, it's probably not written for someone like me. It's written for a young child. It's written for someone who needs the idea that they can do anything as long as they work hard enough and believe hard enough. Is that the truth? Not really. Is that a good message to be sending to children? Young children, yes. I'd say that Midoriya's value as a character comes not from making sense, not from pushing forth a logical narrative that promotes higher level thought and certain battle interactions, a lot of things that I'll praise other series for. But it comes from the symbol of hope and the symbol of peace that Midoriya is supposed to elicit both in the narrative and outside the narrative. Midoriya is supposed to be an inspiration. And inspirations don't back down from anything. No inspiration will cower in the face of a challenge. Do I believe there are situations where Midoriya should not have fought? Yes. I say against Overhaul, I say against Muscular, I say against many characters. Right now against Shigaraki, I don't believe Midoriya should be fighting. However, a symbol, a hero, which is what Midoriya is supposed to represent, and the most basic, simple function, a hero, which is what Stain points out. So I'll give My Hero Academia credit for justifying this rather early, I think first 40 chapters. A hero doesn't back down. And a hero will always find a way. Now, I will give that to Midoriya. That's why I say Midoriya is okay. Because in terms of his function within the narrative and out of the narrative, he serves it perfectly. He is doing the unthinkable in every unthinkable manner. And while that bothers me personally, as a person who looks for something like logic and understanding and basic story cohesion, it bothers me, but I can respect the purpose behind it. Now, how do I say this? This is the second half of the video where I'm going to talk about how I would fix Midoriya so it works not just for the fundamental purpose he's serving, but the purpose that I would like him to serve as an understandable, story-compliant, logical main character. The answer is very, very simple, and it's awakening Midoriya's fighting sense. There is a minor adaptation of it where you see little bits of it. The theft of Gran Torino's fighting style used against Night Eye, the theft of certain Bakugo movements, all those little things, they're very, very good. But the way that I want things to be erased and utilized is something like how All Might be All for One. I want redirection, I want misdirection, I want trickery, I want Midoriya to use that big old brain of his hidden under that broccoli head and outthink his opponents. Because that is one of the main things that I still will have an issue with Midoriya, even if I say he's okay. He was established to notate, understand, and break down things about every single hero or villain or anything he interacted with. And he's done that sometimes, but I want that to be a constant. I want him to look for loopholes, look for things that in short, I want Midoriya to be a Naruto character within My Hero Academia. I want him to look at every single situation, break it down in his head, and act accordingly. Do I want him to go 100% and just keep overly breaking his bones? No, not really, because while that is serving the narrative function, it's not serving a logical function, because it's a disconnect with me. But if we have Midoriya willing to sacrifice part of his body for a trick shot, for something like that, something he knows will work based on what he's gathered by fighting at a lower percentage, if we can get more of that, because the series does that sometimes. The series will do that occasionally. If we can get more of that, if we can get more tricks, more power plays, more, how do I put this? More fat brain Midoriya moments. If we can get some of those, more where Midoriya is purely outthinking his opponents, because that's what Midoriya has to do. He was a quirkless boy. He's had to outthink every single problem in his life before he got One for All. If we get more of that, then I can easily see Midoriya shooting up. And especially with where we are in the manga right now, with Shigaraki about to retreat and Midoriya in dire condition, I feel like this is the perfect time for Midoriya to do that little shift. For him to finally realize that he needs to take what he learned from his quirkless past and apply it to his quirk-filled future. If Midoriya can do that, Midoriya will not just be okay, but he will be better than ever. And that is all I have to say. Hey, so this was a different type of video, but like I said in my update video, Wednesdays are literally whatever I want. This is just me saying Midoriya is okay. I've had enough reflection on him to finally settle down and agree with myself on this. Yes, he's an okay character. But that's all I have to say for now. I will be tackling Bakugo next Wednesday, so get ready for that. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.